Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivātikacāya Sthira Sri Srimad Chidandi Goswami Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivātikacāya Sthira Sri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Charge Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samaverta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 32. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Okay, I'm going to use this. I can see it a lot better. Okay. Excuse me for the delay. Eta samsuchitam brahman. That's what it says. Oh, I got the wrong chapter. What is it? Chapter 15. Oh, text chapter 15, not 5, 15. Okay, sorry, got the wrong chapter. So it's chapter 15. Okay, I had written down 5 instead of 15. Okay, so let's see what we get. And if anything that I prepared for has anything to do with what we're doing. It becomes niśamya. Okay. Niśamya bhagavan-mārgaṁ. I still can't see here. 1 second. This is old age. You see? I've gone from 2, power 2, to 2.5, to 2.75. Now I'm at, this is 3, and it's still, and I have to go now to 3.25, and then maybe I'll get to 3.5. Next time you'll see me with a magnifying glass, right? I'll be standing here with one of those microscope or something like that. Hare Krishna. Don't think it won't happen to you. It may not happen to you. You may be one of those fortunate persons. Like my wife has good seeing but not good hearing. And I have good hearing and she and not good seeing. So are we like the, you know, that we can yeah. Okay. Niśamyam bhagavan-mārgaṁ saṁsthāṁ yadu-kulasya svaḥ-pathāya matim cakre nibhṛta-ātmā yudhiṣṭhiraḥ niśamya bhagavan-mārgaṁ saṁsthāṁ yadu-kulasya svaḥ-pathāya matim cakre nibhṛta-ātmā yudhiṣṭhiraḥ niśamyam bhagavan-mārgaṁ svaḥ-pathāya matim cakre saṁsthāṁ yudhiṣṭhiraḥ niśamyam bhagavan-mārgaṁ saṁsthāṁ yadu-kulasya svaḥ-pathāya matim cakre nibhṛta-ātmā yudhiṣṭhiraḥ niśamyam bhagavan-mārgaṁ saṁsthāṁ yadu-kulasya svaḥ-pathāya matim cakre nibhṛta-ātmā yudhiṣṭhiraḥ. Ladies? niśamyam bhagavan-mārgaṁ saṁsthāṁ yadu-kulasya svaḥ-pathāya matim cakre nibhṛta-ātmā yudhiṣṭhira. Niśamya, deliberating. Bhagavat, regarding the Lord. Mārgam, the ways of his appearance and disappearance. Saṁsthāṁ, end. Yadu-kulasya, of the dynasty of King Yadu. Cha, also. Svaḥ, abode of the Lord. Pathāya, on the way of. Matim, desire. Cakre, gave attention. Nibhṛta-ātmā, lonely and alone. Yudhiṣṭhira, King Yudhiṣṭhira. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Upon hearing of Lord Krishna's returning to his abode, and upon understanding the end of the Yadu dynasty's earthly manifestation, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira decided to go back home, back to Godhead. Purport. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira also turned his attention to the instructions of the Bhagavad-gītā after hearing about the Lord's departure from the vision of earthly people. He began to deliberate on the Lord's way of appearance and departure. The mission of the Lord's appearance and disappearance in the mortal universe is completely dependent on the supreme will. He is not forced to appear or disappear by any superior energy, as the living beings appear and disappear, being forced by the laws of nature. Whenever the Lord likes, he can appear himself from anywhere and everywhere without disturbing his appearance and disappearance in any other place. He is like the sun. The sun appears and disappears on its own accord at any place without disturbing its presence in other places. The sun appears in the morning in India without disappearing from the Western Hemisphere. The sun is present everywhere and anywhere, all over the solar system. But it so appears that in a particular place the sun appears in the morning and also disappears at some fixed time in the evening. The time limitation even of the sun is of no concern. And so what to speak of the Supreme Lord, who is the creator and controller of the sun. Therefore, in the Bhagavad-gītā, it is stated that anyone who factually understands the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord by his inconceivable energy becomes liberated from the laws of birth and death and is placed in the eternal spiritual sky. Where the Vaikuntha planets are. There, such liberated persons can eternally live without the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. In the spiritual sky, the Lord and those who are eternally engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are all eternally young, because there is no old age and disease, and there is no death. Because there is no death, there is no birth. It is concluded, therefore, that simply by understanding the Lord's appearance and disappearance in truth, one can attain the perfectional stage of eternal life. Therefore, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira also began to consider going back to Godhead. The Lord appears on the earth or any other mortal planet along with his associates who live with him eternally, and the members of the Yadu family who are engaged in supplementing the pastimes of the Lord are no other than his eternal associates. And so also Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira and his brothers and mother, etc. Since the appearance and disappearance of the Lord and his eternal associates are transcendental, one should not be bewildered by the external features of appearance and disappearance. Om Ajnanatimandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshura-militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Jai Mukham Karoti Vachalam Shri Patamaham Vande Shri Gurun Janitarinam Paramanandamar Shri Chaitanya Ishvara Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Vedi Tattvatadha Chaktvare Punā Janma Nameti Sojuna. Srila Prabhupada repeats this guidance 2 times in this purport. So it seems that that is the stress that we should focus on today. That if we can understand in truth the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance, if we can simply understand this in truth, when we leave this body, we can go back home to Krishna. What an amazing, amazing promise. It seems too easy. You just understand something and it's all done. But perhaps it's not so easy to understand. To truly understand, to fully understand how Krishna appears and disappears. To understand fully janma and karma. Krishna says, my birth and my activities. Actually, it's not so easy, because we have only the frame of reference of our own world, our appearance, our death, our activity in this world. For one, to begin with, we're all in Maya. Right? No, I'm sorry. I know there are devotees here in this room who are not in Maya. I shouldn't say that. But me, and perhaps some of you, feel that we are in Maya. I'm in Maya. What is the Maya? The Maya is that I am the doer of everything. That I am the Lord. That the world centers around me. To understand Krishna's activity includes understanding my own position, where I am in connection to Krishna. Today I was in Maya, illusion, and I, instead of 15, because I was told yesterday that I was supposed to give the class today while I was out on parikrama, and I wrote it, I put it in my phone, and somehow anyway, it didn't come out right, and I started 5. Okay, and I've studied and I practiced and I did all kinds of things in the illusion that I was going to speak on 1-5-32, which didn't make any sense, because I know that if I had thought a little bit more, I said, well, we're not talking about that. But maybe I thought maybe we're, sometimes in Gaur-Purnima classes, they have special verses. But anyway. But I did come across something that I thought was in my preparation, because that verse talked about how, well, Srila Prabhupada has particularly talked about how everything happens by the sanction of the Lord. Prabhupada talks many times in that verse about the sanction of the Lord. And I came across a wonderful analogy that Srila Prabhupada uses about about our illusion. It's, let me just, this is, so it's relevant. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.16. Yam vaina gobir manasubhirva viragira vasubrita vishakshate atmanam antarhidi santam atmanam sukam yatavashaktiras tata purnam. As the different limbs of the body cannot see the eyes, the living entities cannot see the Supreme Lord, who is situated as the Supersoul in everyone's heart. Not by the senses, by the mind, by the life air, by thoughts within the heart, or by the vibration of words can the living entities ascertain the real situation of the Supreme Lord. So it's not so easy. Janma karma chave divyam evam yoveti tatvataha. It's not so easy. We can't do it by our senses. We can't do it by our words. We can't do it even by the vibration of, the thoughts within the heart, the mind. We can't do it. The illusion that we have is, this is described here, that how just like the body cannot see the eyes, Prabhupada described just like the legs are moving under the direction of the eyes, We see, let's move there, right? Let me walk here. I mean, I'm sure you've had experience trying to move without vision. It's quite difficult. The legs alone cannot determine where to go. The eyes are directing, but the legs are walking. And in the same way, we are like those legs. We think we're doing everything. But it's only the sanction of Krishna that allows us. Now that sanction is provided by Krishna within the heart, according to our desires, according to our aspiration. Then Krishna sanctions our lives. But we don't see it. We're in the illusion. So to realize Krishna's position, beginning with his position inside. So this janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvata is a progression of understanding. We begin by first understanding Krishna in his impersonal feature as the supreme, absolute, present everywhere. We progress to understanding his presence within us as the sanctioning super soul. And it's only when our love for Krishna begins to awaken that we can begin to understand Krishna as he is in his janma and karma, his activity. In his impersonal feature, he's not doing anything, really. He's there. God is present. He's everywhere. But there's no activity. There's certainly no janma. He's simply there. And as super soul within us, there's also no janma. He's simply there. There is some activity in the sense of simply sanctioning our own work and giving us memory. What is it? Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matak smitir jnanam apohanam cha. He's giving memory. He's giving intelligence. What is it? Aham sarvasya prabhu. Yantra rudani maya. How does that start? Anyway. Ishvara, yes. Sarvabhutanam. Ridesha tunatistati. Brahmana sarvabhutani yantra rudhani maya. That as the Lord in the heart, he's directing. We, living entities, seated on the machines of these bodies. So we begin to perceive Krishna in that way, as the ever-present super soul. We begin to perceive the Lord in the heart. Srila Prabhupada takes us on a journey in the second canto, very nice description, where he describes, I think the chapter is titled The Lord in the Heart. And he describes that how one can begin to understand spiritual truth by first contemplating one's own existence. And he says, by a little thought one can see that you're not your body. That's like basic ABCs. And with a little more consideration, one can perceive that one is dependent on intelligence, and that there is intelligence coming from somewhere. And then he progresses to describe how that intelligence that we all are dependent on, that power of reason that we call upon, is provided by Krishna. That is super soul within us, providing it, according to our desires and inclinations. So, still, however, there's no janma. There's some sort of activity. It's only when we start to contemplate the personality of God that we start to think in terms of appearance and disappearance, as in the case of Krishna. But now we're faced with a great difficulty. Because when we consider appearance, janma, and disappearance, our experience is limited to our own world, in which something disappears, it's gone. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada stresses this example of the sun, the example of the sun, to give us a slight idea of the quality of Krishna's appearance. We have some experience of the sun, how the sun is now shining here. It's in the sky. And we'll experience in the evening how the sun appears to have gone away. But we all know that it's visible somewhere else. So, this is Krishna. But that's still a little difficult. I mean, the sun is one thing, and it's out there. It's not, the sun's not walking around here, amongst us. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Surya Dev is visiting Mayapur right now and taking a look at all the devotees and having a great time. But most likely, he may be. But and then again, that's inconceivable to us, how the sun, which we see out there, this huge, incredibly large ball of fire, has a personality, has a ruler, a god, who can come to this world. So, to understand Krishna, his activities, in truth, means to deconstruct, to one bit by bit, to put aside our so-called reason and logic. We get a sense of it. Oh yes, okay, like the sun appears and disappears, but still it doesn't fully give us in full. The verse Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Vedi Tattvataha means that it is a full understanding. We get to a full understanding of Krishna, a full understanding of his appearance and disappearance and activities and who he is and who we are in relationship to him. That is the opening of the door to go back to home, to fully understand who we are as the servants of Krishna. To understand Krishna's appearance and disappearance and activities means also to understand our own part in that Leela. Where do we fit? To fully understand Krishna's activities for us means to understand how we serve Krishna. So now Yudhiṣṭhira, having served Krishna for his entire life, is contemplating his own goal. He's been on the earth for how many years? 100 something. Krishna is supposed to have been present on this planet for, what, 125 years, I think, right? Something like that. That's what I heard. So Yudhiṣṭhira is a contemporary, so must be also in that range. And all his life, he's been acting in service to Krishna. Now Krishna is departed. And he does understand. He understands now. Initially, he, like Arjuna, he was thinking of Krishna. He's gone. Krishna's departed. And his sense, like Arjuna, was in a such deep lamentation. But now, like Arjuna, he's turned to this instruction of the Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam. He's remembering Krishna's not gone. He's simply departed our vision. So now let me go. Let me go. Let me return to be with Krishna, wherever he is. Wherever he is. When we hear that the term going back to Godhead, sometimes that can mean a number of things for us. Because we understand that Arjuna and Yudhiṣṭhira and the Pandavas, they're serving Krishna in leelas in this world in various ways. They also have their leelas with Krishna in other forms. I was just reading yesterday in Chaitanya Charitamrita about one of the associates of Nityananda who was Arjuna. And I think there's another associate of Mahaprabhu who is also Arjuna. Right? So Arjuna has the capacity to be in Krishna's leela in this world and in the spiritual world. So Yudhiṣṭhira's path is like that. It's just to be with Krishna. That's the sense of being back to Godhead, being with Krishna in his service. So let's follow Yudhiṣṭhira's path. Let's follow Arjuna and the Pandavas' path. Let's engage ourselves today constantly in service. Let us meditate on Krishna's transcendental appearance, transcendental activities. Let us aspire to realize the truth of these, to understand the inconceivable quality. Of course, that's an oxymoron. How can you understand the inconceivable? It doesn't fit together, you know. I'm going to understand what's not understandable. No, I'm going to conceive of what's inconceivable. So this janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha, that means not intellectual understanding, because they can't get that. We can't know intellectually. We can't conceive and intellectually understand Krishna's appearance and disappearance, but we can know it in truth when our hearts are free of the self-centered vision that we generally have. And then we know by seeing, by experience, this is Krishna, and I am his servant. So we'll end there, have a little time for questions. I'm very thankful to Srila Prabhupada and all of you that I could manage getting through this with no preparation. Anyhow, But it it's a very deep topic, how to understand, how to really get into this janma karma jamedivya. So maybe we've made a little step forward. I hope I have. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. If there's any comments or questions, yes, Maharaj. There's a microphone. Can somebody...
Hare Krishna. Regarding understanding Lord Krishna, Prabhupada says, don't try to understand Krishna. Try to develop your love for Krishna.
Yes, yes, yes.
And the analogy was given also, the appearance of Lord Krishna is like a rainbow. It doesn't have any connection. People may think, oh, there is like a, from one end to the other end, there's like a rope or some kind of connection. But he comes out of his free will, as says in the Purport. So the rainbow doesn't have any connection from both ends, from one end to the other end. Unlike us, we come because of karma.
Yes.
So you're very correct when you said that we should focus more on our service so that one day we'll be able to develop love for Krishna.
Mm.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
This knowledge and love for Krishna, is it something that's bestowed upon us? If the Guru is pleased, he gives it to us?
Well, there's two aspects. Srila Prabhupada says that love for Krishna is dormant within us. That there is, and there's arguments today about how, the nature of bhakti and love for Krishna. Is it purely bestowed, or is it there already and needs to be revived or awakened? And my understanding is both. That it is both dormant within, it's there, but it is awakened by the grace of Guru and Krishna. So, both are there. Within, as Jivatma, Jiver Surup hoy, Nitya Krishna Das. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us, Jiver Surup, the Surup of the Jiva is Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servant of Krishna. And implicit in the quality of serving Krishna is love. That it's not like Jiver Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das means like we're mechanical parts of some machine that Krishna uses. No, our position as servants is born out of love for Krishna. But when we're in, at least my understanding is that in Maya, we don't see Krishna as he is. We see his external energy, and we think, we create this artificial relationship. But it's still Krishna. We can't avoid serving Krishna because we are by nature servants of Krishna. And the quality of loving Krishna has been covered by our love, lust, you could say, for sense gratification, for the pleasures of this world. But the awakening of that love Brahmanda Marmeti Kona Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Beach. That is the mercy, the prasad of Guru and Krishna that awakens. So and as we progress on the path of Krishna consciousness, then the same thing continues. There's some effort on our part to serve, and then there's the grace of Krishna and Guru. So my answer would be it is both. Love for Krishna is within us, but to bring it out, we have to make some effort. We have to turn our attention. What is the power? I often speak about this. What power do we have as jivas? We don't actually have any physical power. I mean, the illusion is that we're doing, how does it go? Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Ahankar vimūಢ-ātmā kartaham iti manyate. So all the activity which is actually going on, prakrite kriyamanani gunai, by the modes of nature, we think we're doing this. But that's not our power. And I'm sure many of you have often had the experience of losing power over, through illness or whatever, over the functions of this body. And mind even. So we don't truly have power over these things. The only power that we have is our power of attention, our power of intention, our desire, our power of desire. That's the power that we have. What do we want? What is which in a sense is our power of love. It's that power of love that through which everything takes place in our lives. Now in illusion, that what is meant to be love, that natural power of love becomes distorted into a power of lust, of desire. And then Krishna reciprocates. So, same way, if we give our effort of attention, prayer, surrender, and then Krishna stimulates, clears, cetodarpanamarjanam, by accepting the holy names of Krishna, then we get cleansed. But we have to enter into that relationship, that association with Harinam. Maharaj, you want to add something?
That power is the minute independence.
Yes, the minute independence.
The minute independence, if it's used properly, then we can develop love for Krishna.
Yeah.
And if it's misused, then we're just going to go round and round and round in this material world.
We have a choice. We always have this minute choice to turn to Krishna or to turn to Maya. Recently I've been reflecting, and I'm a little embarrassed. I've been reflecting on how often, every moment practically, we have an opportunity to choose. And will this please Srila Prabhupada, or will this not please Srila Prabhupada, you know. And when I consider how many times that I do something that I look, well, that wasn't the best choice I could have made. So that is our sadhana, to become fixed in always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. Yes. I don't know if I answered your question. Hold on.
A morning walk in Vrindavan, and Prabhupada pointed out that one part of the earth was all dried up and cracked, and then just beside it there was beautiful green fields, I think of, I don't know, cow's grass or something. So Prabhupada said, what is the difference between the two fields? And they said, here the water's irrigated and everything is growing green. And here there's no irrigation. It's all dried up and cracked like anything. So Prabhupada said, what is the watering process for the bhakti lata? The watering process is the Harinam. You're chanting. He said, devotees who stop chanting, they become like this. And he pointed to the cracked up, dried up earth. Devotees who stop chanting, they get dried up. And those who are chanting lots, they become vibrant and green and beautiful. And the bhakti lata grows all the way to Krishna's lotus feet.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
So if we just keep, we just keep chanting, don't ever stop chanting, just keep chanting. This is our only hope with Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
Yes.
Srila
And if we can,
Prabhupada.
and it's in Sri Nam, who is Krishna. If when we start to think about janma karma chame divyam, and we think about the visual, the form of Krishna appearing, but Krishna's appearing and disappearing too. Krishna, okay, he was there, now. So the name is like that too. It seems to appear and disappear. We say it and now it comes and it goes. But it's not like that. It's not like that. Krishna is eternal. His form, his name is eternal. It appears to us to come and go. So the more we chant, the more we'll begin to understand this is Krishna. And when we fully understand Krishna's full presence in his name, then, so let us chant. That is the way.
In this song, Jiv Jago, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's begging for the holy name. I mean, he already had the holy name, right? But he's begging for the whole, maybe he's begging for the pure, offenseless holy name. Should we beg from Prabhupada for the pure holy name?
We must beg, constantly beg. Yes, cry and beg. Well, this Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say, well, I'm setting up a crying school. We're in the crying school. Don't use that in your preaching. Sir, I'm inviting you to join our crying school. And they would say, what? I want the non-crying school. But, no. Now, we have to learn to beg and cry. And then, yes, Krishna is there. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu Maharaj, if you have personal questions which you don't dare to ask in the group, I wish there was someone that you can turn to. I used to have one guru, though he, Bhakti Charuswami, though he was living here, I live in Europe. So hardly I had the chance because you cannot.
Yeah,
as a
you need
woman
to be
especially,
part of some group. You need to find a group of devotees that you can.
Yes, but
ask
how?
questions.
Where? You say pray.
Where do you stay?
I live in Europe. I hate
Where in Europe?
Netherlands, the worst country possible. Nobody gives a damn for God. God has been kept away for centuries ago. You know, Christmas is their one big slaughter party.
I would